This video is by Straight Goods News, SGNews.ca.
I guess a week and a half before the last federal election, I got a phone call from an actual poor little gal who asked if I could have this, if the Conservative Party could count on my support, and I was very plain in the fact that I felt that, how did you get my number? And absolutely not. So I have a recollection of that it was a live person. I didn't get a robocall. And then on election day, I'd already done my voting in the advance polls, but my son, it was his first election, and he had decided he didn't vote in the advance polls. There was an event at the school, and he wanted to hear all the candidates speak, and he wanted to make up his own mind. And I was home in the afternoon, and I got a call. This was an automated call, saying that the polling station had moved. I don't recall exactly where, but I remember thinking, that's way east of here. That's crazy. In a previous election, I'm on the border, so I had gone to one polling station, and they had said, oh no, you're at the other one. Then I went to the other polling station, they went, oh, it's back here again. So I made the assumption that, oh, somebody doesn't know what side of the street I live on. And so my son went and did his voting later in the day. And I didn't think anything of it until months later when somebody says, well, no, Elections Canada doesn't make phone calls. So gullible me believes it when somebody phones up and says they're Elections Canada and that my polling station moved. I mean, I assumed it was just some kind of a clerical error. So it really makes me angry that somebody is consciously out there trying to not only misdirect me, but misdirect my son in his first election. And like Peggy, I feel like we've worked hard to get a reasonable system in place. We're in it, and it's important for us to keep it in place for our kids, what is past and passing into come. And so I also made a complaint to Elections Canada online, and I got one phone call out of it. And I don't think that's enough. I mean, I feel like there's been a conscious effort, as you hear more and more cases all across Canada, to subvert the process that we usually sit back and think is just a right that is just given to us. And when you see things like that threatened, I think it's really important. I'm so grateful to be part of an opportunity to try to maintain what we have and put some teeth in the, or at least shame the organizations who should have teeth into monitoring these elections. Because, if you're a runner and you cross the line, you're disqualified. And I think a whole bunch of people here have crossed the line. And I think some disqualifications need to occur. With an analogy, if somebody tries to break in your house and doesn't manage to, is that not a crime? And I think that I find it terrifying, the idea that something that's so important, or used to be important, the ability to choose a leader, would be fair game for skullduggery. I mean, I think of myself as a fairly intelligent person, and I am just aghast at how gullible I was to think that somebody would pretend to be Elections Canada, phone me up, and I would believe them. I mean, how do you approach participating in a society where you can't trust an election? I mean, it's supposed to be free and fair, and yet, if I'm not watching carefully, somebody's going to fill my house with misinformation, and it's going to take me half an hour or half a day to figure out exactly where I'm supposed to go on a certain day to cast a vote. I mean, that should be something that I can count on, and that's something that Elections Canada should be working really hard to make sure I can count on. Because isn't it about elections? I mean, I find that just the attempt, and not just the attempt on me, but finding out that it's a widespread attempt, I think is, it's frightening to me. I had no idea. You don't talk about voting at work. In my family, you certainly don't talk about voting. It's not, in fact, there's some family members that I have here in Ottawa that I didn't tell that I was coming here because they have ties to the government, and I didn't want them to, I didn't want any backlash, because I think that that's serious possibility. So in terms of saying that this is that people know what's going on, I would say that's, pardon the term, that's bollocks. Most people are just too busy to have heard about this. And who reads the newspaper anymore? And I don't recall seeing it on the national news that much. So unless it's a giant-sized case, most people don't know about it. I mean,